We're going to talk to Eric Herzog. So hi there to you, Eric. Thanks for giving me some time.
Hi, Philip, and thanks again. We love being with you on your show. So thanks again for inviting Infinidat.
No, it's great to have you. And I will fire away straight away. So I guess would be good place to start would be the key features and benefits of the enhanced G4 family. Tell us a little bit about those.
Sure. So we did a couple different things. So the original G4 was announced in May of 2024, brand new platform ground up. As you know, we only do high-end enterprise. We don't have entry or mid-range systems. So in this evolution, which is very strong, and the number of enhancements, we've done enhancements and extensions to the G4 physical platform, right? What we've done there. We have also done some changes with our Infuse OS. That's our operating system that runs on the InfiniBox family. So from a platform perspective, the first thing we did was introduce a new smaller form factor high-end array. So in May of last year, 14 rack U. Now we've shrunk that even more to 11 rack U, and it's all the high-end features. Our award-winning InfiniSafe for cyber, our performance at 35 mics. You get all our enterprise guarantees, which is, because we sell mostly to the global Fortune 1000, we have a lot of guarantees that we have to put in writing because they're giant companies. So even though it's a smaller form factor, you get all of that. The advantages are three. One, as you know, data centers are strapped for physical space and power. So if you've got an empty rack, you can take the 11 rack U, as long as you've got 11 rack U, and slide it right in with your servers or your networking, right? So instead of having an partially empty rack, which in today's crowded data centers isn't a great thing, you can fill up that core data center. Second thing is, as you know, given who our customers are, many of them have facilities all over the world. And sometimes those facilities doesn't have a big data center, they use a co-location facility. And co-location facilities, as you know, charge for the power, the cooling, the rack space, the floor space. So having a high-end enterprise array that is in a small form factor allows you to put it in a colo, but not have it be an exorbitant cost to do that. And the last thing is, for many companies that are global, whether they be manufacturers or whether they be distribution companies, they have facilities all over the world. And some of these facilities are physically very, very, very large, right? To handle thousands of trucks coming in, right? For distribution, or they're building cars, or they're making, pharmaceuticals, right? Those factories are physically very large. So if the core data center goes down, they don't want the factory to shut down. They want to be able to deliver milk, right? They need to be able to deliver shoes, whatever the distribution center does, or whatever the factory is building. So all of those facilities tend to have small data centers. So they have a few servers. You need a small high-end storage to fit in with all the cyber resiliency, et cetera. So that's what we did. And in doing that with a small form factor, the performance is almost 2x faster. B, you have these new areas where you can put a high-end small form factor system. And the entry price point compared to what it was in May 2024 is 29% less expensive. So you get a high-end small form factor solution, less expensive, higher power, and some great use cases where it will physically fit, where our bigger systems won't. And we still have our bigger systems as well, Phil.
Okay, and if I'm right, the G4 family, you also offer a new scale-up model. So can you tell us how,
Yeah,
in the particular ways that
sure.
benefits users?
So what we've done there is we did partially populated models 2 years ago. So you buy the array and it's not full with storage, which cuts your entry price point, right? It's less expensive. You don't have all the storage inside. And then you could upgrade. And our upgrade strategy at the time was in increments of 20%. So for example, you at Alsop Incorporated need 60%. So you buy that. Now you need 65%. In the old model, you would have had to buy 20% more, even though you really only needed 5. In today's model, we have much smaller increments. So if you need 5% more, we sell you 5% more. You need 10% more, we sell you 10% more. So, and of course, all our upgrades have always been completely non-disruptive. So if you've got 60%, you need to go to 65. You put the storage in, it automatically grows the system, and your servers and applications keep running. So it allows you A, smaller increment upgrades. B, obviously that's less expensive, right? If we only sell you 5% because that's what you need, that's less expensive than selling you 20%. Even if you weren't going to use 15 of it, right? You had 60, you were going to 65. We used to sell you 20. That's just the way we did it. Now we sell whatever you need, and that cuts the cost. It's completely non-disruptive, and it gives you more flexibility, right? You can buy 5% now and another 10% 6 months from now if that's what you need. So it gives you better flexibility from the end user perspective. So that has been a change as well. We also, in our hybrid arrays, have dramatically increased the effective capacity. So in May 2024, the capacity was 17.2 petabytes, maximum, the biggest. Now it's 33 in the same physical form factor. So with data centers crying out for physical space, instead of buying 2 arrays, which is what you would have had to do last year. So if you really needed 33, you had to buy 2. This year, this quarter, you can just buy 1, which shrinks the physical floor space you use. And it also has been ideal. The hottest use case for our hybrid arrays is backup targets. We work with all the major backup vendors, Veeam, Commvault, Veritas, you name it, we work with them. And because of our neural cache technology, which you've talked about with us before, delivers incredible performance. For us, Commvault, Veeam, Veritas, IBM, those are just applications, right? The workload they're doing happens to be backup, but they're an application, just like Oracle's an application, SAP's an application, right? Those are applications. So in this case, it's a backup application. So we can A, shorten the backup window, which, as you know, while you're backing up your primary servers, you get a slowdown in performance. So the shorter it is, the shorter the performance hit is, of course. And then if you really have some issue, right, you deleted a volume, you accidentally got rid of, 1,000 PowerPoints that you need for your sales team, and they're all backed up, right? You want to recover that as fast as you can, so you can do that. And the third thing why people have done this is, as you know, because we talked about this a couple sessions ago, we will guarantee recovery of our snapshots in writing with time. So for the InfiniBox and our all flash, the InfiniBox SSA, we guarantee recovery in 1 minute or less. So if you buy a hybrid and you're using it as a Commvault or Veeam backup target, obviously, that's called the backup repository, right, where it goes. So if you snapshot that backup repository, we can recover that backup repository in 1 minute or less, regardless of the data set size. It could be 10 petabytes, 5 petabytes, or 25 petabytes. We guarantee that the snapshot of that backup repository will be recoverable, which again gives you a cyber advantage from backup, because obviously the cyber criminals know you don't just attack primary storage because everything's been backed up. So if you don't control the backup copies, right, Allsop Incorporated just tell your IT guy, oh, just go ahead and use that backup and you'll recover the backup, right? So the smart cyber criminals are trying to control your backup and your primary storage. So that rapid snapshot recovery allows them to start the recovery process if there's been a cyber attack. So some really good things there on what we've done from a hybrid perspective as well.
Yeah, and as you've explained, you're addressing a lot of the sort of industry's pain points, whether it's sort of performance, security, and other things. But I guess the green agenda, sustainability is also important for folks. So it'd be good to understand how Infinidat solutions support enterprises with their green IT agendas.
Okay, so one of the things we've done, Phil, is we have reduced the power consumption needed in these small form factor arrays. So in fact, if you get the 11 rack U compared to the old one, we have shrunk the form factor 31%, but at the same time, we've improved the power efficiency 45%. We even, for example, have a power calculator right on our website. You load in what the configuration is of your existing storage, you load in what config you want, and it will tell you how much power you're going to save in kilowatt hours. It's also going to tell you the savings in money. So people think that being environmentally conscious costs more money. Not true at all. We call it E squared. Environmental advantage equals economic advantage. If you save on the environment, you also save on the economy. Now, that said, with this great new power efficiency, some people may just move it from storage to servers or storage to AI, because as you know, and it has been reported all over the press, there is a data center building boom going on all over the world. Some of these are AI data centers, some are standard data centers. But again, as everything goes digital, right? Your iPhone is digital. If you're sending emails or taking pictures, that's digital, right? The old phone, I used to have a Motorola flip phone back in the 1980s, just made phone calls. There was no texting, there was no taking pictures. So even all these consumer things have become digital, as well as clearly everything from a business perspective, whether you're a small business, right? Herzog's Bar and Grill, whether you're a mid-sized company, Allsop's cigar stores, you've got like 50 of them all over the UK. So you're a mid-sized company, or you're a global Fortune 500, right? All of them have dramatic needs for digital. And what that's done is caused a building boom. And then of course, AI makes it even worse. So whether your data center is AI oriented or standard, the reality is they're power hungry. So when we have all this power efficiency, you could use it for green IT. And by the way, also it saves you money, right? E squared, environmental advantage equals economic advantage. But we are seeing some customers, when they save that power, are moving it to the AI workload, or moving it to other areas of the data center, because they're strapped for power. It's just the reality of what's going on. So whether you use it for your green IT and your environmental advantage is great, you'll save money. Or you could take that power efficiency and move it to another part of your data center where you're short of power. So either way, it's a win for the end user.
Okay, and in terms of any specific examples you might be able to share to highlight the way in which you're helping enterprises and how they're benefiting from Infinidat's approach, would be good. I understand you might not be able to name specific names, but
Sure,
just
no
give us
problem.
a flavor of
Yeah,
what
got
work
a great
you're
one.
doing.
So as you know, one of the things about all flash arrays is as they fill, they slow down. Okay. We're an exception because of the way our multi-patented neural cache technology works. When our all flash arrays are filling, they don't slow down. So what this means, it allows us to consolidate. So for example, with one of our Fortune 100 customers, we consolidated 288 floor tiles, 288 to 61, running all the same workloads. So they saved on power. They saved on cooling. They saved on data centers floor space, which, as we talked about, is in short supply. We changed their power profile from a storage perspective. We're running all the same workloads. And we help them with green IT. As you know, all compute equipment, right? Servers, laptops, printers, storage, networking, all are filled with toxic chemicals, right? That are used to make them. So when they retired the 288, they had to recycle 288 floor tiles worth of stuff. And remember, it's not like when you take your bottles or your newspapers to the recycling center, right? It's much more complicated. And there's especially companies that do it, and they're very expensive, right? So now they have mostly our third generation. They've started to buy the G4, which of course we were discussing earlier today. So as they move to the G4, they're retiring some of the third generation. When they retire all of it, they're only recycling 61 floor tiles. So 288 floor tiles of recycling to 61 floor tiles of recycling. So A, it's greener. B, it's way cheaper because those specialty recycling companies charge a lot of money. And then, of course, they had savings on both just the initial capital expenditure, because instead of buying 288 floor tiles of storage, they bought 61, which was less expensive. And then, of course, on OpEx, both the power and the cooling budget, but also the IT resources. As you've noted in one of your articles, there's an IT skills gap globally. You've noted it, several analyst firms have noted it, right? It's been in other IT press. So with an IT skills gap, if you are using less IT to manage things, you're freeing up operational resources to work on the AI, or work on your network, or work on your server farm, or work on your edge protection, right? Because human beings can only do so much work. So those are all advantages and show you how this power and efficiency, what we do in performance, allows us to consolidate a number of arrays down to a way less number, yet still deliver the performance, the guaranteed 100% availability, and the cybersecurity they need, even though we've literally shrank the amount of storage they've had to buy. So that's a real world example. We have another customer also in the US. They went from 27 arrays to 4. So they saved 20 million in a 3-year time frame. The guys, the big one, they saved over $65 million in 3 years between the recycling, the power, the cooling, the floor space. Obviously, the initial capex for 61 floor tiles is way, way less than 288 floor tiles of storage. So all those things that are the capex, the opex, the IT resource savings, they've saved in the first 3 years 65 million. So they've saved a lot of money. So it's been very beneficial to them. Same thing with that other company that went from 27 arrays to 4. Easier to manage. Again, all the applications are running on 4 arrays instead of 27. So they saved on power, cooling, floor space, rack space, all those things. So those are examples of real world customers saving a lot of money by leveraging our technology for what it delivers in performance, what it delivers in availability, and of course, our capability of being able to consolidate and shrink the physical footprint of a data center, which is advantageous for a number of reasons, as we talked about earlier.
Okay, and in terms of, we've talked about the sort of the way you're helping enterprises with their green IT agendas and sustainability. It'd be good to understand what Infinidat yourselves are doing to meet your own environmental and sustainability targets, and also share sort of what you've achieved and if you like, what more is on the roadmap there.
So we actually provide a public ESG report. Okay, we've done it now for 3 years. So the one we did this summer has been publicly available. And what we have done is we try to go to a sustainable supply chain, right? So whether it's the packaging we receive, when we obviously use hard drives and flash, they come in these big boxes. We make sure that all that stuff is fully recyclable. The packaging we ship in, same thing. So what we ship to a customer, whether it be our new small form factor array or our older style full big one rack, everything we ship in, that's all recyclable. Obviously, the components we use are all recyclable. Although again, as with all compute equipment, not just storage, there's toxic chemicals, but again, it's all recyclable stuff, right? And we've done the same thing with our supply chain to make sure that when we get the things, right, it's sustainable. Right. So again, the easiest one to talk about there is, of course, the packaging, because we bring in gobs of materials, whether it be the infrastructure we use for our nodes, right, which run our InfuseOS operating system, whether it be the media, right, DRAM, flash, and hard drives, we buy all that. And, we make sure all that is that we can leverage is recyclable. And then obviously we make sure that what we provide to our customers, not just the packaging, but we just talked about, if you consolidate 288 floor tiles to 61, our customers get, environmental advantage as well. So we absolutely do that. And our ESG report, they can just reach out to me or one of our sales teams and we can get that for them. That documents all the things we do. And we design, just think about the power efficiency with again, we talked about 31% smaller form factor from the previous release in May of last year, and it's 45% more power efficient. So again, that power efficiency is how we've designed our system to deliver that power efficiency and the environmental advantage to our customers. So from the design phase, what we do when we ship, how we help them with recycling with old tech, the literal technology, not just the packaging, all that is done with environmental advantage in mind. And by the way, it also happens to be cheaper for us, right? When we recycle stuff and things we can reuse, it saves us money too. So it helps Infinidat with our own ROI and our own total cost of ownership, independent of how it helps our customers, both with our return on investment and their total cost of ownership.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier on in the conversation that often the assumption is that sort of going green costs money rather than saves, but it's fair to say that in the case of the Infinidat G4 family, you're sort of proving that sustainability and advanced storage performance go hand in hand. It's not one or the other. You can have both. Is that right?
Absolutely. 288 floor tiles is way less power efficient, way less environmentally efficient, way harder to manage. When you take all that storage and can shrink it to 61 or 27 to 4, you saved on power and cooling, which is environmental, right? And the greenhouse gases that go along with that. You saved on the packaging. If they replaced the 27 arrays, they would have got 27 arrays with all the packaging. With us, they just get 4. So they're recycling the packaging for 4 arrays versus the packaging for 27. And that's simple, right? That's the, how we pack it, right? What we ship it in, but it's all recyclable. So we're doing that with an eye towards helping our customers meet their green objectives. But at the same time, it also saves them money, right? To run 4 arrays is way less expensive than running 27, whether it be the IT resource needs, whether it be the power, the cooling, and the physical floor space in data centers that are starving for both physical space and starving for power. We help them do that.
Well, as ever, it's been fantastic to chat to you, Eric, and you always make potentially complicated sort of situations very simple to understand and very powerful with the examples you've used. So I really appreciate, as ever, the time you've given me. Thank you so much. Great to talk.
Well, thank you very much. We love joining you. If there's anything else you need, please let us know. And obviously the listeners, www.infinidat.com.